There's nothing like looking if you want to find something. You certainly usually find something if you look, but it's not always quite the something you were after. This quote is from J.R.R. Tolkien, and it's found from The Lord of the Rings. Today, I'm going to be talking about how and why Norse mythology is important in today's culture and today's society. Everywhere we look around us, we find special things and traditions that we can actually trace back to the Norse traditions. The areas that I'm going to cover today are Norse creation story, major Norse gods, common Norse stories, and the relevance of Norse culture today. The Norse creation story. As you can see from this picture, you may not understand it at first, but once I discuss it a little bit, I think you will see the relevance. The Norse mythology, or creation story, believed in before the earth was made, that there was cold and hot, and when they came together in the center, the earth was created. Now at first you may not see the relevance of this, but Western culture has always been taught that mankind, humans, and the earth have been the center of the universe. Other cultures in Eastern society don't believe in this, but Westerners do. And even the Norse did. They believed that mankind and human were the center of everything, the center of the universe. The creation story goes on to how man was created and the gods came along and they worshipped the gods. There's a lot of relevance in the way the Norse mythology looked at things. Things like giants and dwarves and even their afterlife. They were all symbolic of mountains and natural phenomena that we understand through the scientific age. Even though their creation story might be a little outlandish, it still kind of represents what the modern man thinks about how humans are the center of the world and the universe, and how we look at natural phenomena through a personification. The next area we're talking about is major Norse gods. Sturluson, who created the Prose Edda, is where we get most of the information today about the Norse mythology. There wasn't really a written account of it until the English language and Latin language came across Europe. He was the first one to write down the common oral traditions. According to him, the gods were actually kings and warriors that came all the way from Troy, and later through the years, because of language barriers, they became known as gods through hundreds of years of translation. The most important god out of the Norse mythology was Odin. Also in northern Germany, he was considered Woden, so the names are very similar. He was given a day of Wednesday out of our calendar. He was the father god. He was the father god of all men and the gods. The next important god was Frigg. She was actually a goddess, Odin's wife, and she was given the important day of Friday. Together, Odin and Frigg had a son named Baldur. He was considered Baldur the Innocent, and he was considered important in Norse mythology. Another god was the sky god. His name was Tyr, and he was given the day Tuesday. There was Thor, which most people will know from Norse mythology. He was the god of lightning, and he was also the protector of the gods. He was given the day Thursday. Other important gods were Frigga. She was very close to Frigga. They were the gods of fertility, of women, and the dying in battle. The last god that a lot of people have heard of was Loki. He was the god of mischief and trickery. A really important aspect of the gods is that they were the personification of emotions and of natural events. Stuff like fertility, love, anger, trickery, thievery, things that you can't necessarily put in physical aspects. The gods were given that. So when something bad or good happened, you either thanked or cursed the gods. Common Norse stories. A lot of people don't understand a lot of the traditions we hold in stories that we hold are actually Norse mythology. A good example would be the Brothers Grimm's accounts of traditional stories around the German and Scandinavia area. Stuff like Little Red Riding Hood is a good example of the woods and the wolves and things that those areas hold a lot of tradition. Stuff like elves and dwarves, they're actually Norse deities and creatures that people held throughout the years. Dragons and stuff like the Christmas stories, Christmas traditions that we hold. These are all common things that we've taken from our European ancestors. And it's just important, when we think about stuff, that it wasn't stuff that we necessarily made up now, but it's been around for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. Lastly, the relevance of Norse culture today. Like I discussed in the creation story, we hold things as humans being the center of the universe, humans being important, and that's very relevant today. Also, traditions like Christmas and Easter, Thanksgiving, Halloween, these all come from a Norse mythology and Norse culture. How we used to, for example, in Christmas, the Yule logs was a Christmas tradition. The Christmas trees, Easter was actually the spring equinox. How we celebrate that with rabbits and eggs. These are all traditions that we've gotten from the Norse. Conclusion. Though Norse mythology is outlandish and at times bizarre, it's important to see how it has shaped our way of thinking and development. We can see how it's shaped every aspect of our lives. I mean, there's negative aspects to Norse mythology. White supremacists and a lot of white gangs in prison have used Norse mythology with their symbols and tattoos and things. That some people may have taken it as a racist thing, and that's not true. They just took something that was actually really interesting and kind of turned it into, perverted it. And it's important to see how it really does influence our Western way of thought, and to look past some of maybe the racist things that you see on the internet and television. And it's just interesting, and it should be something that everybody researches with other cultures as well. Any questions?